Good. Just so that we're all on the same page. All right, over this side. Who has a question?
Peter, this is Cindy.
Cindy, yes. Welcome, and what's your question?
My question is, last night the vehicle asked us to watch our dreams. And when I got home, I actually had a waking dream of a glass shattered, completely shattered. And the vehicle,
how did you feel about it?
I felt it was a sign.
Good, of course it's a sign, but how did you feel when you saw the glass shatter? What was the initial feeling in your solar plexus, third chakra area?
It was terror.
Terror, or that's what we're looking for. Now, before you go further, people, when you want to interpret something, you look to see your initial feeling. It's why if you sleep and you wake up in the morning and you want to know something, you check the belly area. This is the feeling area where you can access the body's intelligence that is going to be separate from what you think. The body is smarter than your thinking process most of the time. And so you will get a signal here about what the symbol is about, or your response to the symbol. Now proceed, please.
So the word shatter has come into has come to me several times in the last few weeks.
In the previous few weeks.
In the previous few
and
weeks.
What would be your solar sign? Is the astro of your sun?
Pisces.
Your Pisces. All right. We just look to see different people receive information in different ways. Pisces is very psychic, and you have Chiron in Pisces, the wounded healer, and Neptune in Pisces, now affecting everyone on the psychic level and the karmic level, deep, deep, deep. Please continue.
Okay, so recently in my family there has been one young boy who's 7 who was molested by a neighbor boy. And so there's been a shattering of all of us in terms of what it feels like inside.
And that is a shattering of how you thought reality was going to be.
Yes, and also one of the things that was said to me was the shattering of innocence.
The shattering of innocence. So you had an example of it in your family with a young member being sexually abused by a neighbor.
Yes.
And we'll stop for a minute here and comment on this part of it. People, have you figured out that TV and the internet contribute to the 1,000,000% increase? Did you hear that correctly?
Yes.
1,000,000% increase. No one has ever used that term before. 1,000,000% increase in sexual abuse on this planet. And who started the sexual abuse? The Anus. And so can you see how all of their influencing is coming to the surface in a very disturbing way? And so their control over you is being shattered, and you are being shattered in your reality about what you think things are. On a good level, the shattering is a sign that you are becoming more psychic. Please continue.
Okay, so thank you for saying that. The sexual abuse was actually from a boy who was 1 year older than he was.
So an 8-year-old to a 7-year-old.
I ate with a 7-year-old, but it had been going on for 2 years, so one was 5 and the other was 6. So the 6-year-old...
This is very brave of you and kind of you to share this so that people get what's going on. Please continue.
So the boy, and it's interesting that you said right away the thing about the media, because the boy was showing porn, on his iPad to this other little boy. And
then they were doing what all people do, little or big, mimic.
Yes.
Remember that.
Yeah.
You are all mimickers. And you have been attempting throughout the last 500,000 years to mimic and emulate the Anunnaki. This is why everyone likes jewelry and gold, because the Anunnaki valued gold and they wore it, and so people feel if they wore jewelry and wore gold jewelry in particular, then they were mimicking the Anus. Please continue.
So my question to the P's is this: when I saw the shattering of the glass, it also felt like the shattering of DNA, or the shattering of something that we've been shattered as humans. And so I want to understand where the healing is going to take place. Is it within the earth? Is it where can we heal these sorts of shatterings? Because they're all the pieces to try and pick up this glass that just shattered. It was like millions of pieces. To try and find them all, it would be impossible to put them together. So that's my question.
What shatters it shatters when it fragments so much. It means one thing. If it breaks in 2 or 3 pieces, you have super glue, yes? Mm-hmm. And you can fix things if they are little cracks or not too bad. But when something really shatters, it means it is not meant to be put back together. Do not even think of putting it back together or going back to the way things were. Because it shattered because the way things were was an illusion of being something good and cozy. And on the good side, that when people do things that are harmful to themselves in today's world, it's going to be faster and faster for exposing. The exposing is going to happen on the high level, and already Mr. Clinton's being looked at for, why is he hanging out with world-class pedophiles? Why is Prince Andrew hanging out with world-class pedophiles? Why does Hillary have her own secret server and her own secret type of email so that no one knows what kind of sex slavery thing is being run around the planet? Everything's being shattered. It has to. If you look at what our vehicle drew here, the picture of the simple cross, it is the zodiacal circle, and she just drew the cardinal cross. At the top is winter, and that is where Pluto is. Dismantling, destroying, dissolving, breaking down, shattering, if you will. And Uranus in Aries, in the sign of spring, in the sign of a new beginning. Uranus, the revolutionary higher mind, affiliated with Aquarius, Enki's sign, the water pourer. In the highest level, it is the awakening of humankind in a revolutionary manner. Not people at Ferguson, misery, destroying shops and being angry. That's the very low level that is instigated, and that's what the Anus want. Chaos and confusion in the streets, race, riot, separation, no one trusting anyone. Uranus says, Enki's gift is within you. And the timing from Enki, he's a timer. Oh, no one knows time like Enki. And he's not so into it. He's into commanding. And so Enki is the surgeon, the precision engineer. You add time to perfection. We are simply helping out, explaining, describing as best we can. And don't think by any means that we came in knowing all of this. We had to learn as well. And we've learned from you, and we do have different experiences and vistas of reality that you do not and cannot have, because you do not exist as we do. We don't exist as you do. So we are a meeting, a long-planned meeting. And many of you knew that we agreed, along with others, to help you through these times. You looked for us, and we appreciate it. We look for you. So, what do you think about this shattering? How do you put it back together? You rebuild with new values. And one of the biggest things that's going to come down the pike is that people are going to have to start disciplining their children Stop thinking that they're crystal, rainbow, some kind of great ascended beings that have come on. They're people with a lot of issues. And the more you elevate your children and make them special, 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 the more you create dysfunction for them. And you give kids unsupervised play, and you give them the tools of the gods. Someone asked our vehicle here during the picture fest here, the paper fest, where you were looking at all kinds of things, and you were looking at the picture of the Sumerian configuration carrying a little bucket, the battery, and the Anunnaki smartwatch from Sumer with the Rosetta on it. And what was the question now? Someone said something very important.
The Mies.
Say it again?
The Mies.
The Mies, that is what we were looking for. So she said, is this the Mies? Are these the society building structures? And it's something that they valued. It was devices, or let's say a configuration based on crystals, that utilizing it, all the aspects of setting up a civilization could be accessed. Sometimes they were called the tablets of destiny as well. You think perhaps it would be, open a computer program and there it is how to milk a cow, and there it is how to breed horses, and there it is how to plant corn, etc. That's your world. The Anus were able to bring energy and ideas through dimensions onto your world. As Mr. Chet said yesterday, many people report that they are in birthing programs with ETs, and they do not have the baby through the birth canal and out the between the legs. It is at some point in the dream state lifted out of the belly. Right away, bingo, you must begin to understand that realities are not all the same. They operate in very different contexts. So, the structures that the Anunnaki have put on your planet, they are being shattered. And to put something like the tablets of destiny, or the Mies, in the hands of 5- and 6-year-olds, unsupervised. Do you get what's going on? The Anunnaki used to fight over their Mies, M-E. They would steal them from one another. They would, if they had the Mies, they could run the world. And the Mies were guarded. They were special. Only those who had the power and the understanding could utilize them. Obviously, they were codes to build worlds, and these Anunnaki colonizers were careful with these tools. Only the highest ranking Anunnaki were allowed to have them. And they had a lot of infighting by pilots and inferiors and other members of the family, who literally went in and stole these devices from one another, then took off in their flying hornets and things. A hornet is considered to be a helicopter. When you hear the ancients use the term hornet, it was helicopter. And they had helicopter type transport back then, just as they had transport that looks very identical to the space shuttle. Anunnaki technology is old, and it does not adapt to, like your cars. Let's build a new design next week every year. Oh, the Anunnaki find what's work and they stick to it. So now you have the Mies, or these powerful devices, in the hands of young children. First of all, we're going to scold you. And it's all right because our eyes are closed. You are fools for giving your children the power tools of the Anunnaki. How to solve this problem? Take a power tool away, an Anunnaki power tool away from the child, and you've got the kid from hell, right?
Yes.
This is your conundrum, people. We cannot solve it for you. You have become subjected to their toys quickly. And they know in the beginning of the internet, many people reported that it was filled with pornography. And now children go to seek out this pornography and they will destroy their lives. Because they will carry, once they realize when they are older what they have done, it's going to be hard to carry that shame around. Protect your children. Do not elevate them to some kind of greatness. They're not great. They're just people who have come here, cute people. You're all cute when you're little. And then you get on with it and you start playing with your issues. What else do you want to know, dear?
Okay, I just wanted to know if there are things in the earth, like herbs or things like that, that can heal. I know herbs do heal, but can heal those places that have been shattered, or something like that. You know?
The shattering is going to continue. And it's happening not just in your family, on your street. This is the breakdown that is occurring across the world. The devastation that's happening because someone turned their back. There are people who walk out the room and recently and they come back in and the 4-year-old kills the 5-year-old because the mother left the gun on the table. This is the breakdown to show how the people of earth have lost their ability to think clearly, to put power objects in the hands of young children. And here is the greatness. Once you see that your children are being sexually violated, it is a huge maternal, paternal wake-up call. Now, there is a fellow here, Chris. Are you here, Chris?
I'm here.
And he is from England. And he shared something very important. We will paraphrase it, then we'll give you a chance to say something, Chris. He came up to our vehicle and he said, you know, just about perhaps every day, every week, there's some sort of pedophile scandal that's being hammered in the British press. It's not just Prince Philip, it's all the stuff from Scotland, it's the MPs, it's the child sex slave rings, it's the boys, it's this and this. And he said very graciously that this is what it takes. The vulnerability of children and the violation of children is your greatest value and weakness, and it is this that will raise the people up in anger, and you are completely correct. Now, someone wants that stuff exposed, and you can bet it's not the Queen. She's in control, and she is a representative of Anu Empire on Earth in, let's say, a visible representation. Yes, she has the Germanic background, but it makes no difference. That blood also is very old with the Germanic giants, etc., who once were part of a group that migrated from after Anunnaki destruction, migrated into some of the various conclaves and places inside the earth. And it wasn't till after the flood water receded 13,000 years ago, they didn't come out of the earth until 11,000, 10,000, 12, 8. They started coming out in batches all over the world. That's where they came from in the USA. The inside of the earth has a massive tunnel system. Massive. But that's another story. So the pedophile exposure is painful. And it's going to shake and rattle the Anunnaki establishment through the Crown of England. There are people on the inside who have figured this out, and they are going to the source. The other source is Rome. Yes?
Yes.
And what has been happening in Rome for the last 2 decades? The pedophile scandal, yes? How to heal this? When we say to you that your second chakra, your sexual chakra, is the biggest trouble in being human. This is why in religions and things they would forbid people to have sex, chastity here, there, everywhere. But you forbid people, they have more and more, and they have illicit sex and very damaging sex. Sex is to be use to make others of yourself and to heal yourself, to have a good time, to laugh, to become intimate, to fly into the cosmos, and to release all those wonderful hormones that make you feel so fantastic after you've had 1, 2, 5, 10 orgasms. But here's something that you need to understand. Years ago, there was a test that was done with people, and they were wired to buttons, and animals have been doing the same thing. And this person was wired to a button, and if he pushed the button, he would give himself an orgasm. In 1 minute, we are not certain for the statistics, but the button was pushed at least 30 times. No impulse control. Do you get it? And so sex, the orgasm, people want it. They want whatever happens inside. But they forgot how to take the sacred path to get there. As people, in every incarnation, your sexual issues are always going to be the core of your biggest struggles. You think it's money, but once you've got a roof over your head and you know how to light a fire and cook some food, it always comes down to sex. And so you are looking at facing a massive sexual confrontation. When will it come down? It's very obvious. Saturn went retrograde last Friday, retrograde in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a big expansion picture. Saturn in Sag says you got to learn some really, really hard lessons between now and 2017 December. This summer, Saturn is going to move back into the late degrees of Scorpio. It is going to be opposite the Pleiades. And so there's going to be a lot of Pleiadian higher value of sexual energy beamed at your world as a standard. You don't have to thank us. We owe it to you. To have good sex, good healthy sex, good sex with love. And so all you watch, they are going to tumble. And you are going to have some very famous names right at the top. And there is a methodical plan to take down the biggest players and to break up this cabal that often uses sexual ritual magic from the Aleister Crowley days to create massive group sex, create a vortex of energy, and then the demons come in and the rituals occur. It's not easy to hear all of this. This is a way of understanding what is being shattered and what is coming forward. So Chris, with clear presentation, what could you share with the people that they need to know? But be careful, because these are recorded, and so lots of people listen. So edit a little, but to give a clue.
I've taught for the last...
Say it again, please.
I've taught for the last 18 years that it's there to heal.
Come louder, so it's closer to
one
the...
thing that would bring down... If there was one thing that would bring down the political cabal, it was the use of children behind the scenes. Because...
He's saying there's one thing that you're going to have to speak louder and come over here, because we want it recorded, and we know we put you on the spot, but so what? You all came here to be put on the spot. They're all saying, "Oh, I'm so glad it's not
I think
me."
when you look at, if you look at the entire conspiracy, it's the Federal Reserve, 9/11, all of these different aspects, nothing gets people's heads turned more than the use of children behind the scenes, because suddenly it's something where everyone goes, "We'll take a lot of crap, but you won't do that when we know about it."
With
and
the children.
So, in the last year, the uncovering in the English side and on the American side has been the uncovering of these pedophile groups going higher and higher and higher. Jimmy Savile, ministers, MPs, and at first it was just pedophiles, it was sex rings. And now it's coming out that they're murdering children at these events. And now it's going to leave another event. And then you have the Jimmy Savile, if people know who he is, was a big charity worker. And this is the independent was he supplying children to the royal family? So suddenly...
And wasn't he made a Sir?
He was great friend of Prince Charles.
Well, if you are made a Sir, then obviously you are doing a lot of service for the Anus.
And he was in charge of some of the mental hospitals and all of these things, and the orphanages, so that's when they were using children, so they could get rid and not know about it, and now suddenly it's all coming out.
He was sort of our Mr. Rogers.
Correct.
Captain
And
Kangaroo.
it was suddenly a big shock, like, oh, he was into this. And people like David Icke have been saying this for 20 years. He is one of the handlers. And suddenly even the Express went, how did David Icke know about this 20 years ago? So suddenly there's this shattering of the illusion of who these people are. Where it gets interesting is when you realise that the Bushes are Windsors and they're also involved. And so the House of Cards can finally start to come down.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Chris. From across the pond. And Jackie, who is here, we're not going to call on her, but you know, we used to go to Ireland. We've been many times. And years ago, many of the Irish people talked about it started to really unravel the massive paedophile scandals in Ireland, and they followed the church, they were good Catholics, and just the abuse of Leah and Leah. It has not yet happened in the US of A, but you will see it starting now. It will start to really heat up sun on the Pleiades around May 18th, and then it will be the summer of hell squared for some world leaders. Chet, did you have something to say?
No, but there's a man named Bill who wanted to say
All right.
something about that.
Who wants to speak?
One of the
Who is it?
Rick.
Rick, or loud and clear, please.
What's happening in Canada is we're under a missing young girls and women problem, and there's no accountability yet. So I feel we have the same thing going on. This has been going on for years, but it is building and building and building. And they're finding that some of the girls are 8 and 9 years old who are being groomed to be working the streets in prostitution. But nobody, like in your country, in England, has been identified as being the groomers.
Right.
And I'm hoping that that's coming, because it seems to be coming here in the United States and now in Britain, but right now that's not being uncovered in Canada.
Let's say this, you are going to see a network that is working very, very diligently to start at the top, and then they'll work their way down, and it's going to be worldwide. And so the Shattering, what's the lady's name here? We forgot.
Cindy.
What is it?
Cindy.
Cindy. Cindy's revelation, and you could hear the pain in what she shared. This is going to become a global pain. So big. The sadness that people will have to take on is that they have projected and trusted people that they never should have. And this is part of Saturn's teaching, to give you the bigger picture. Now, when Saturn goes through Sagittarius, it's going to dip back to Scorpio to give you the mother of all scandals, and it still is not going to be a clean sweep, but the dark side, very dark sides will come out. Many people will be retired or terminated or just quit their jobs because they've been covering it up. You are looking at a media scandal extraordinaire, and you are looking at the shame of many, many media presenters, and they're not going to be exaggerating about which helicopter they are in. You follow this? They're talking about big lies, big lies. And let's just say that was a demo, a little demo with the helicopter guy to show what's coming for everyone who is out of integrity and not telling the truth. Saturn in Sag, by 2017, December, world religions in many places, not completely, because there are true believers who will not look at things any other way. But world religions and their credibility will be greatly reduced. It could be by then that already you are going to have space beings acknowledged around. Someone asked, when will the government come forward and come clean? Never. Because it is too much of a shame. As soon as they show the cat's tail, someone will say, well, why have you been covering it up all these years? And then how do you lie about the lies? And the level of lies is so great that it is almost impossible to unravel them. Therefore, the United States government is not going to be the one to announce, or at least not to say, hey, they're here, so what? More than likely, it's going to come from another world leader, potential to be Putin, or the Jesuit Pope, because of his scientific backing and his thinking that he can hocus pocus abracadabra it to a holy thing because of the, let's say, church. But there's no foundation under the church because so many of them are pedophiles and so many of them covered up for the pedophiles. So there's no stability anymore. Cindy's picture of Shattering is a psychic indication that the world that you have seen, the belief systems that you have, they are an illusion, as Chris said. Know that the golden age, the new things that you want, may come out of all this, but you can't build on sand unless it's mixed with water and the waves don't come in. But as soon as a wave washes over it, it won't last. Who has a comment, a question, an insight?